PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello there, guys. Welcome to another episode of PharmaPhobic, powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, where we help you become the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself. So today we have a guest in studio, Dr. Ken Gray.
Yay!
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. We appreciate you coming down. Dr. Gray is up in the Jupiter area, which is a little bit of a hike down here to Delray where our studio is. But we appreciate you coming down. Yeah.
Share some worth it. Worth every mile.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Gray, I always tell people like I could, read your CV and be like, oh, but nobody's going to introduce you better than you're going to introduce yourself.
No need for
tell
that.
the listeners what you do.
Healer, artist, father, husband, hopefully a friend to many. What else? I have podcasts, run a few companies, Vell Health, Maximum Health, Road to Wellness television show, soon to be on PBS.
Oh, wow.
Maximum Health, Quality Living, radio on NPR and podcast. Did I say son? Yeah, I'm a son.
Yeah.
My mom's still around. So that's cool.
And you said Vell Health? Like
Vell, V-E-L-L, like very well.
Oh, gotcha.
Together.
Yep.
Not how I came up with it, but it is what I say because it's easy to remember very well. So vellhealth.com, and it's the first holistic health app approved on the app stores, and gives accountability focus on your health, your way, 5-pillar approach. Just worthy of anyone's attention if you're looking to be part of your healthcare and even connect your doctor through it with the Vell Health portal. There's a care provider portal, which allows you to connect with your physician, physician to connect with you. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of great things. As a healer, I get to utilize Eastern medicine, acupuncture, food therapy, herbs, homeopathy, homeopathic injections, which I'm additionally certified for in my licensure. Hands-on aromatherapy. I'm very good with, manipulation, not chiropractic or anything, but just more Tuina, which is Chinese medical massage, known for that. And just general talking. I think a lot of the times patients just say, you know what, none of my physicians talk to me. You listen. And, I feel like education is the most important part of healing. I want my patients to feel empowered. So I give them the tools. I help hopefully restore their hope. And I do the hands-on work to give them the leg up because they're usually coming in without hope and they're coming in with challenged situations, chronic disease, and a lot of things that they've just been turned away by their conventional doctors for. Sometimes it's integrative where they are not necessarily turned away, but there's just no answers in that world. And sometimes I'm the first stop. That's increasingly more because we're having the next generation realize that they can deal with things from a more of a natural or integrative or holistic approach before taking the pill or doing the surgery. So that has opened up some new doors and ways of thinking. And that's not new. There's definitely pockets of people and generations before this one that have dealt with illness and disease or dis-ease, imbalance that way.
Nice.
But it's nice to see, I guess, there's some increasing awareness about it. Yeah.
So how long have you been in the field?
I've been in healthcare for over 30 years. I've been a doctor of Oriental Medicine for over 20.
Okay.
About 20.
That's a long time. So you've seen a lot.
Yeah.
What got you in there? What made you jump into that?
So a combination of things. I was raised in a West Indian home. My biological parents are both from Trinidad. My dad that raised me since the age of 8 is from Jamaica. And so ingrained in the sort of food is a little bit of healing and health and wellness,
Mm-hmm.
and the reverence for medicine or becoming a doctor or lawyer is there. So me wanting to be an artist first and foremost was not really what my dad who raised me thought was the best idea. So,
Mm-hmm.
and so he always promoted things like becoming a doctor or lawyer, what have you. And I was not really hearing that until I driving home from my full scholarship in the performing arts at Indian River State College, was in a car accident, and that rendered me in not incapacitated, but injured enough that I had to seek help, and I was directed to a chiropractor, and that was the first time that I experienced chiropractic care or
Mm.
hands-on care that wasn't like going to a doctor or getting
Mhm.
a prescription or a shot or something. And
Yeah.
um, so that opened up my eyes to saying like, hey, maybe this is a happy medium that I can do something that um, my parents would be proud of, and work in that field while also going to school and doing what I love, which is performing arts. Um, so fast forward, I was hired as an assistant. That led to be hiring in a place of management next door at the rehabilitation center, going to University of Florida for medics and rehabilitation, which is becoming popular again. I'm seeing a little bit more in medics, which is developed by the person who started Nautilus.
Okay.
And then moving on to other physical therapy, Heart and Family Health Institute, assisting there, and then being brought to Flagler, which for me was a big deal because I was living in Port St. Lucie, and I was asked to go to work in the Flagler building by an orthopedic surgeon, and that surgeon was a hand orthopedic surgeon, but he owned the practice, Gold Coast Orthopedics at the time, Dr. Eric Fishman, who, interestingly enough, just shout out, he um, started getting into other things like yoga and stuff that we would talk about, and we're still friends to this day. He owns a company called Monk, MONQ, and it's you know, it's not a vape, but it's essential oil that you sort of just allowed to go through the olfactory processes. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not vaping at all. You don't inhale it, but you do whatever. So,
Yeah.
so it's another form of healing. And so it's just funny how those influences, because he was very conventional, and then
Mm-hmm.
through our connection became more integrative in thought. I don't like to use the word alternative. And that brings me to the next stage. So after I did all this other assisting and then eventually looking for a way to complement and be a complement in the health force, I started looking at naturopathic medicine. But at that time when you search the internet, there wasn't much,
Mm-hmm.
and there was only a few schools. So what came up was acupuncture and those schools, and there was only like 3, and one was Sarasota, I think, and then the other one was in Broward, and the other one was like Washington State or something. And so I looked into the one in Broward, just south of here.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it because that was going to be a lot longer and a lot more than going for naturopathic medicine. But I like the professional licensure. I like the fact that I'd be a primary physician in the state of Florida. I'd be nationally certified. I'd be doing things that are more natural in level, but the modalities would be larger in scope, and there would be some respect, more
Mm-hmm.
respect
Yeah, you'd be
and
efficient.
autonomy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that said everything to me, coming from my, all the allopathic and conventional influences of MDs. And even with chiropractic, it still was more accepted than what I was going to be doing. But I knew that I wanted to be a healer first and foremost, but that I needed the papers. I needed
Yes.
the legitimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that line for me. That was that balance. And so that was worth everything, going back to school for that. And I'd gone to school, gotten my degree in teaching, performing arts, that sort of thing. But so I guess the revelations that came when I finally graduated and started practicing was that I was offered this opportunity with Jupiter Medical Center because of what I had done in the community and the healing I had done. Most of the people I had taught or families, children I taught in the arts while I was going through school through Center for Creative Education. And a lot of those people became my first patients. So I went from being Mr. Ken to Dr. Ken. And the transition led me to developing a patient base that was was significant in the area, because I was at this time living in Jupiter, which has become quite the
For
epicenter
holistic stuff.
for holistic, for medicine,
so I hear.
for
Yep.
but I was there before all of that. I was like the first. Maybe there was one lady, Mary Tomer, back in the day. I don't know if she's still around, or I mean, around being alive, but um, that was it. So it was a fishing place. It was a beach place, maybe once in a while a surf place. And so building a practice the way that I did was not advisable. It was not typical. But I took my massage table and then eventually worked with a dentist, had an office there. Then I left there, went with another group of, went with breath work people. And, and I just was just making my way. I didn't care about having my own shingle. I just cared about healing.
Yeah.
And so when the opportunity came to work with Jupiter Medical, they said, we would like you to be an alternative, sit on our boards and help with, alternative medicine. I says, I'll help, but as long as we don't call it alternative, I want it to be integrative. So from day one, over 20 years ago, I started to make sure that term was always used, because I wanted to make sure that we said, hey, patients don't have to choose. They shouldn't have to choose. It should be patient-centric no matter what. And patients should feel like I don't have to choose between this doctor, that, or this allopathic versus alternative. It's all going to work for me. And I will work with whatever doctor will work with me. So that's kind of that journey and that sort of mantra that has been ingrained in everything I've done, and all the pioneering and acupuncture and surgery and all those things came from that.
What set that fork in the, it sounds like you didn't even see a fork in the road, because a lot of people, like Janie's conventionally trained, but she years in the field, like you can speak to that. You're like, nah, I need to go this way, more holistic, more of that. Let's actually heal people. But you sound like you didn't have that. You knew you wanted to go down this holistic route. What framed that? What kind of shaped that in your mind?
Yeah, I think it just goes back, like I said, to my upbringing. And, my mom, if we had a stomach ache, she wouldn't take us to the doctor necessarily. She would have maybe some orange peel drying. And fast forward, I know that the Chinese call that chen pi. That's an actual herb, but that's just a West Indian Trinidadian thing. If your child has a stomach ache, you give them that, or you give them ginger root, and grate it, and you put some, or if we had fevers, again, we wouldn't go to the hospital. My dad would take some overproof rum with pimento seeds or what have you, and put it on a rag and sap our head, and it would cool the fever and open the pores. And it was a combination of that alcohol with that herb, which helps lower fever. So again, if I had antibiotics once, I could count on it in one hand my whole life, and I'm going to be 51 next month. So it was already there that I wasn't typically going to doctors. So if you went, it was really bad.
Yeah. So you didn't grow up in the system.
Yeah, you didn't know it.
Right.
That's good.
I mean, we did some things. I remember going to the doctor early for the tetanus, or not tetanus, but measles, mumps, rubella, or something like that. But it wasn't always the case, and not how people that I saw were when I got older. I was like, what's going on here? So when I was assisting in all these different areas, I was the one saying, well, try this, try that, try the other thing. And on top of what you were doing, I wasn't saying don't see this doctor. I was saying, to heal better, heal faster, why don't you add this, or drink this tea, or put this topical, or so I was always that guy. So it's just a natural thing. So I always got along, and that's one of the reasons people always wanted me around, or said, hey, why don't you come over here, do this with us, and so it was just a natural tendency to want to help people the way that I felt I could, because I wasn't a surgeon and I wasn't prescribing meds. So I was adding all these other things, but those other things compounded with my education now, what I have, has been a bolster. It's been a boon,
Yep.
Because that's what people want. And I respect it all. Believe me, I respect your choice. whatever you choose, I respect it. I'm here to support you. I'll educate you. I'm not going to tell you one way or the other, but I'll educate you. And I'll show you the proof. I'll show you the medical journals. I'll show you, because I go between all the worlds. I know how to be a gatekeeper. I recommend and refer to many MDs, neurologists and pulmonologists. And I know sometimes, unfortunately, more about the current medical journal situation than they do. Even with prescription meds, sometimes to this day, it's dumbfounding, but, I have a patient, they'll say, oh, I'm having this bone pain. I'm like, did you start any new meds? Well, yeah, they put me on statins. I said, well, are you taking CoQ10? No one told me to do that.
Depletes it.
And that's like basic, or, the overuse of, reflux.
PPIs.
It's like, okay, it's supposed to be a short-term med. And now they're associating with all these chronic diseases.
They don't blink an eye at a patient who's been on it for over a year.
Yeah. And you see it. I mean, it's supposed to be 3 months. And so years go by and you have your gut, your microbiome, and then you compound it with prednisone and other NSAIDs and other things that are destroying your gut, your liver. And you wonder where all these chronic diseases are coming from. I mean, it's kind of basic stuff to me.
Yeah.
And it should be basic to the doctors prescribing it. And
Yeah, somewhere they conventionally trained physicians have lost, it's become solely about what medications can do.
Yeah.
Because one thing I go back to is hypertension, and I'm sure anybody listening is sick of me talking about hypertension, but hypertension, I think if you ask most conventionally trained people, we're taught that it's an insulin resistance issue, but we don't treat it like an insulin resistance issue.
Right.
We just, here's this med, watch your salt, exercise more,
Yeah.
And, that's it. But there's no talk about the quality of your food. It's not just the salt, There's no talk about what type of exercise. There's no talk about, hey, what if we checked a fasting insulin before just a fasting glucose, and we could have told you 10 years ago that you're trending towards developing these issues.
Yeah.
What do you think is driving that, honestly? Because it seems, here's what gets me. If you ask the question, because, people like you and people like us, I feel like we're very solution oriented. Like it's in my DNA. If you put a problem before me, I'm going to try to solve it. Right. So when I look at this health thing, I'm like, okay, how do we solve this? I'm fine with asking all the questions and we turn over all the rocks and nothing is off limits, right? Or do we have to question the excessive use of medications? Do we have to question how healthcare is aligned? Do we have to question vaccines? I don't care. It's all on the thing to me to solve, on the table to solve the problem, right? But it seems like a lot of conventionally minded people, if you ask questions or you bring up things like that, like, hey, statins are going to deplete CoQ10, you should be on the CoQ10 at the same time as if you start a statin. They're like, oh, they don't want to go there. What do you think drives that mindset?
And I'd hate to say that's everyone. I'm sure there's a growing number of graduating or even old school MDs that would be watching this or may not ever watch this, but are definitely out there that would be of that ilk that would say, yeah, I say, I definitely tell my patients to take CoQ10 and eat this food or drink this tea. They're just far and few between. So I don't want to generalize, because I've seen and been mentored by some great, multi-level thinkers. Some of them are DOs. They kind of come from that sort of background of thinking outside of the box when it comes to conventional medicine. But I would say, where is the majority sitting? I think it's an idea of it stems from most unfortunate perversions of humanity, which is fear and ignorance, that kind of go hand in hand if you think about it. Fear promotes ignorance promotes fear, right? So if they're not waking up in the morning feeling that they should be continuing to learn in order to benefit themselves, their family, their patients, the world, and not approaching life from that place, then it's going to be doing the same thing, and then they're going to blame it on science and say, "This is not scientific. I don't, I don't know about that, and it's not scientific, and therefore we don't know." And no, that's not true, because it's out there, and science is supposed to prove or disprove what is real. And there are people that work with science to do that, and there are people that work with science to, kind of put things aside. But it's out there, and you should always be aware.
Well, and you're also, I mean, there are studies on certain things that people, conventional wisdom tells you is wrong, and then turns out there's some dusty study somewhere. It's like, oh no, science already, science already corroborated what I'm telling you that you think is, whoop-de-woo.
Yeah, and it's out there.
Naturopathic stuff, but it's actually corroborated, or, ingredients in food being problematic or certain things like that. You find some study from 85 or 78 that said, no, this ingredient was a problem already.
Right.
But people don't want to believe that.
Yeah.
Also thinks it's set up from education, right? So your education was obviously a lot more broad.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah, and their education, and even my education was very much centered around pharmacological treatments.
Yeah.
And also, when a provider is working in the conventional space, the most education they're getting is brought to by drug reps. Like, here's this study.
Yeah.
Here's the most recent update. But, it's never questioned who's it's funded by, what else is going on. And so it takes the physicians that are out there who are more open-minded, I think it takes them seeking out other resources to further their education and to continue to expand.
And the universities, medical schools that are, I would consider Jefferson University with its integrative department, which was co-founded by, I guess, one of their biggest, donors was one of the owners or founders of Home Depot. And he was helped by, I think, one of the main doctors, and then decided he was going to fund that there. So that's, something to look at. They invited me to do grand rounds there. That's rare for a university of that caliber to go and speak, be paid to share my outlook and my experience as a holistic physician with MDs, so that they can get an idea and be inspired and understand how important it is for integrative medicine to be part of the system going forward for patients and in hospital settings, because I can speak to that. So that's one university, and I'm sure there's a few others that are starting, but the authorities probably are a little bit few and far between. Like, I've sat on advisory boards at Harvard's Beth Israel Deaconess, but it was down to this this physician who was working in pancreatic cancer, and then the foundation that was helping to support the work, I was on their board. So there's all these ways in which we have to work. Like the work that I do is one person. It needs to be multiplied. It can be done, but it's just so much. Like people say, is it hard for you to be accepted by doctors? I mean, not so much anymore, but how many hours upon hours and days and weeks and months and years have I spent showing up, talking, sitting on panels, doing newsreels, writing books, lecturing, you know what I mean? It's countless. And that's not even just showing up to treat patients. And that's not just starting an app or doing this or volunteering my time for 12 years on a NPR show podcast. It's a lot. But in the future, that my kids, and you were mentioning about what scares me about the future. In that future, hopefully this work will have made a dent in the way that we look at health, because again, what we say, fear and ignorance, right? They're continuous circle. And that's what drives so much of the violence and these shootings and but it starts before that. It's before you see that happen. It's already in the homes. It's already in the television. It's already in the schools. It's already in how we are treating each other and how we're raising our families. And that comes from health, because if you're of ill health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, right? You can't raise, the next generation is going to be worse. Right?
When we started Achieve the Lifestyle, Janie and I tell people that if you come to our house on Tuesday or Wednesday and sit at dinner with us, we're having these conversations. This is what we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And I told her, I have a feeling when this thing was brewing in our head, that if we got healthier as a population, a lot of these things, I'm not saying you're going to eradicate them, but you would temper them down quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence that in the 50s and the 40s, crime was less of an issue and people had less chronic illness as well. I think they go hand in hand, right?
Right.
And not to say that, oh, I'm, a stick-up kid and I'm robbing grocery stores because I have poor health, but
Yeah.
there's a relation there. You didn't eat the food that you ate,
Sure.
the relationships, the social connections that you had growing up probably played a part into you developing this type of person that commits crime, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't. But it's one of those things that I'm happy to hear you say that,
Yeah.
because I'm like, that's exactly how I see it.
Mhm.
I think it's very health, physically, mentally, spiritually. First of all, that's all related, right?
Absolutely.
And then that connects with what we're seeing out in society.
Yeah, and you see it. You look at the general population now, and you look at kids, and again, I'm a blip, right? I'm just one person, and even my surrounding pool of people that I help, which in my life now has been in the thousands,
Mhm.
maybe tens. I don't know. I've never thought about it. I go one day at a time, but you have a patient that brings their child to me, their young child. He's not sleeping. He's very upset. He gets upset so easily. He runs afternoon fevers. He's not paying attention in school. Like, it's very evident to me. All right. What's his diet?
Mhm.
All right. Are you giving him supplements? He's going through a growth spurt. Is he getting enough calcium? Because if you don't get enough calcium and vitamins, minerals, the body's going to rebel.
Mhm.
So it starts early,
Mhm.
right? Can't concentrate. You're doing too much sugar, too much dyes, processed foods. You got to cut that. You need some more nourishing stuff. Make some soups so they get a lot of nutrients in one sitting,
Mhm.
right? Anytime they're going through growth spurts or anytime at all, you got to do that. They come home from school hot. You don't give them a popsicle with a bunch of processed sugar just because it's cold. Give them watermelon, cool their body, help them get rid of toxins, stuff like that. Melon and basic fruit in general. But the point is more people need to be talking like that. You go down that road first before, we got to put them on psychoactive meds,
Here's
right?
some Adderall. Yeah.
So now, on top of growth spurt, malnourishment, because the food, you can't count on that, right? Especially if you're giving processed stuff in bags and cans.
And you're giving them a lot of calories and they're moving their jaw a lot, but they're not nourished.
Yeah. And then you're not supplementing, and then they're not sleeping, and then they're, running around trying to, and then all of a sudden, now you put a medication in there, and then you got antibiotics, and some patients are doing vaccines for everything, which I don't, So what are you going to do with this little body, this little processing plant, right? All these organs are parts of the machine. It's a bio machine that's got to process everything. What's out there, what's in here, everything you put, everything you sense, everything, it's all processing. It's all food. It's all coming in, and it's got to be processed. Air's are connected to kidneys, liver is connected to the eyes, liver's stress and anxiety, spleen, pancreas is over worrying or overthinking or ability. Each organ has a physical, emotional content to it. That's Eastern medicine, but it's real, right? You seize up your liver, you get hypertension you were talking about. We look at it as very much a liver thing. Liver qi stagnation, that heat raises and affects the heart. So you have manic issues going between upset and, all of a sudden they're, joyous and then they're upset. Those are manic issues. This is those imbalance of those organs. Anyway, so point is, you see it very evident when you start with a child. Unfortunately, you can mask those symptoms very easily too with the medications. But all it's doing is masking the symptoms. So as an adult, we see it now too. A woman, she goes through, she starts having her menstrual cycle. And what do? We medicate her. Birth control, medication. And then when that doesn't work, we add alcohol and other drugs. And, and so by the time they're like in their 20s and 30s, and we wonder why they're like so manic and
Yeah.
And they're stronger. They're stronger. They're smarter. They're everything more than men. I mean, that's science. So if we're doing that to our women, and then they're giving birth to the next generation, what are we doing?
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever read the book, Your Brain on Birth Control. I don't know if by Sarah Hill. It's fascinating. It goes in line with what you're saying. The rates between women started on birth control and then subsequently started on antidepressants is scary, right?
After that stat that we saw the other day from that UPenn social study, where they say they're projecting that Americans are going to spend over half of their lives on some sort of prescription med. For women, their age
starts at like 15.
15.
Yeah.
Men, it's 40. Yeah. Women, it's 15, and it's birth control and antidepressants.
And now because of that, men, it's going earlier too.
Yep.
Yeah. And it speaks on the influence that women on birth control can have on men currently, because men tend to seek partners that are not superior to them. And women want alpha men, right? Like evolutionarily, people don't get mad at me, okay? But when they're on birth control, women are now higher achieving. There's more women in college than men now. They're doing all these things because they don't have to take time away to have children, and they can have sex freely because they don't have the consequence of becoming pregnant, which before that, evolutionarily, we were very picky about having sex because it carried a 9-month consequence potentially.
Right.
And so now I'm going to try to get this right. Women are higher up. So men aren't going to come up to meet them. And because women are on birth control, it's pacifying the need to want an alpha men. So they're seeking more beta men. So now men are having to degrade themselves to be accepted by women.
Because the beta men are in higher demand.
Yes. And so you can see, so you could say that women on birth control is influencing the integrity of our men. Yeah. So.
Well, I would even go further. I don't know that men necessarily have to come down, because what's happening is that men are starting very early, just as women are starting early with hormones and control of the mental and all of that. Men are doing it too, but they're doing it in a different way. So they're starting earlier with the testosterone and the human growth hormones and the Viagra, because in their own way, they're trying to control their whatever their image, self-image, or lack thereof is. So they're doing it very early. So those were things that used to be 50, 60. You'd start that stuff. There's starting in teens, in high school, on the wrestling team, in baseball, and in football, and all those. So you're an alpha, maybe at that time, but now you want to be more alpha.
Yeah.
So you can only do that so far before you burn out. So by the time you're ready to get married, you're in your 20s, 30s. And unfortunately, now you're feeling tired. It's not working as well.
Yeah.
Your sperm's not working. You can't get it up. Your libido's low. And the level at which you have to increase these drugs. So now you have these males, some of them are dying with heart attacks in their 40s. And that used to be like the 70 and 80-year-old after too much Viagra.
Or you would see it in who used to use testosterone at a younger age exclusively were the bodybuilders.
Yeah, guys that had been on PEDs
like powerlifters, and they,
Mm-hmm.
it's known they die early.
Yeah. But now it's across the board. It's just there. That's how they maintain energy. Oh, I'm feeling tired. Oh, I'll take this. I'll take Adderall. And everything is pharmaceutically. Of course, you're going to see a new level of not just these men that, are sort of whatever the state.
I don't know how to say it the right way, but
they're more just different. They're more passive and more,
That's a good, more passive, And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee, or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chalkless has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at Summer Strong using Chalkless. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chalkless.com and use code JaneBrown to snag 10% off your order.
It is what it is. But I think, in my home, I can educate, right?
Yes.
I can talk to my children. I can be aware of their choices. I can share this information with them. I can take the time to do that. I can share my choices that were bad and my choices that were good. I can, hopefully they'll take the bad and say, okay, I don't want to go down that route. And I'll take the good and go that route. I just don't know that a lot of that's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
I have I'm a strength coach and I work with a lot of athletes and kids, so teens, that sort of thing. And I see, going to what you were saying, I see a lot of, keep in mind that these are the athletes, right?
Yeah.
Overweight kids, a lot of ADHD medication going around.
Yeah.
And then the kid shows up to train in the afternoon, we're going to do an athletic development session, but he hasn't eaten all day.
Right.
Because, the medication pops in the morning, that kills his appetite. He can't eat all day, and then we're going to train in the afternoon. And even with all the activity that they're undergoing, they're still overweight. So what you were saying earlier about what you're seeing in the kids, granted, I live in a microcosm, right? But still, I see a lot of it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So
it's there.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And where my mind goes to, I'm like, if I'm seeing these in the athletes, right? That's what the quote unquote, the active kids, what's going on out there with the kids that are not participating in the sports? What's going on with the kids that are kind of more living on the, digital world all the time, that sort of thing. I think that's, I was listening to one of your episodes and you were talking to a doctor about this, the children's health, and he called it the canary in the coal mine type. He's like, the children are the canary in the coal mine. And I agree, because if they're unhealthy, that's telling us what's coming.
Yeah. Because historically,
that's
kids
what I was
are much
alluding
more
to
resilient.
about,
Not only that, when you're dealing with chronic illness at 11 and 12, now you're obviously going to be chronically ill for longer, right? So what does healthcare look like for a person that became pre-diabetic at 15, diabetic at 18, 20, when they're, we are used to seeing diabetics 40 plus, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's already there. We're already there because those stats from that show you're talking about, that was run by CHOPS in Philadelphia, and a very reputable scientific-based study that we are now at the level of a third world mortality for our children.
Wow.
That's... let that sink in a bit. And that's not poor people. And in some cases, the poorer communities are at least trying. Yeah. But it's across the board. It's the wealthy people. Yep. It's all, and I see it too. I see the people with means, their children are not necessarily healthy.
No, listen, I'm not cheap. So the kids that I'm seeing are all from these gated communities and private schools. So it is, they have that problem.
And all the parents say the same thing when they come to me. I wish I would have known.
Yeah. Oh.
Why didn't anyone tell me?
Yeah.
Why didn't my doctors tell me? I didn't know. And they're crying and they're sad because now they're stuck with, okay, how do we rebuild? Can we at least achieve some level of wellness here for my child?
It's interesting too, because I'm thinking, I'm 42. And I'm thinking back to my childhood, and I've said it before on the podcast. I only remember one kid in my school, in my class, that he was on ADHD medication. Nobody else had that issue necessarily, or it wasn't as widely prescribed as it is now, right? So I don't know. Could it be because we weren't as good at diagnosing it in the 90s? I doubt it.
Not good as diagnosing it, but also diagnosis criteria changed.
Yeah, the diagnosis
It broadened.
criteria, that's something Nick Davenport talked about. Yeah.
And then it used to be, we see it with a lot of these things, and I think it goes to show how overwhelmingly, how many people are being diagnosed with this, because it used to be that ADHD was managed by psychiatrists.
Yeah.
Now it's managed by primary care.
Primary care,
Within the conventional realm. And the same thing with a lot of cardiac issues. Like AFib used to only be managed by cardiologists. Now it's managed by primary care, you know? And so these things, because they're becoming normalized, which is terrifying.
And it just opens up the prescription
Yes.
dynamic. I mean,
I think that, and I want to know your thoughts on this, because if we just keep going with the example for children with ADHD, with the further education I've done, and I'm part of this group called Unconventional Collaborative. So it's a lot of some conventionally trained providers, but a lot of, naturopathic or RDs, physical therapists, pelvic floor PTs, things like that. And it's a great resource. But there's a dentist who's an airway specialist, and it's opened my eyes on ADHD. To me, diet, airway. If it's, one of those two things is likely the culprit of it. And so I heard you say that you worked with an airway specialist for a while. So are you seeing a lot of things, or is that part of your assessment with people, especially kids? What's, the mouth, the teeth, the palate, the tongue, their airway? Is there a sleep apnea component going on that is driving a lot of these chronic things we're seeing at an early and earlier age, either concomitantly with the quality of our food or independently of?
So I work with all different specialists, not just pulmonary specialists.
Yeah, but I heard you mention that like you were shared space with an airway for a while.
dentures.
Yeah. That's why. So it just sparks me.
So I would say there's no independent anything.
Okay.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
In my world, that's holistic, right?
Yes.
That's number one. So I'm always looking for patterns and connectivity and solutions through the patterns and connectivity. So I need to get to the root, and then I look for the branches, which are the symptoms, but I need to get to the root and then connect all of that. And then I sit down with my patient and say, oh, well, this is how that happened, this, how that, and this is how we're going to work our way back to normalcy. And this is what we have to do it. Food, acupuncture, homeopathic injections, supplements, meditation, whatever it takes, right? Fitness, yoga, tai chi, like it's a system, it's a whole system. So to answer your question, I would say there's some connectivity there. I don't know how much, but it's not a, something I can give a quantitative, you know what I mean? Because for me, it's all connected. So
you see, everything is always connected.
Yeah, but by the time it comes out here, you take autoimmune or those things like, babies being born with everything from eczema, just more increased, right? Definitely an inflammatory issue. Lung and liver in our medicine. Psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, lung and liver. Kids are having rheumatoid arthritis younger.
Really?
Lung and liver. So it does speak to what you're saying, but what is that? You know what I mean? We have to look at that and why they're being born and having these chronic autoimmune diseases earlier in life. These used to be, again, 60s, 70s. You have RA, you have the joints, and okay. You're old, but you know what I mean? But it's not. It shouldn't have been that way anyway, because there was a pathology to it. There was a reason for that to develop, and maybe it's excessive use of NSAIDs early, move to excessive use of other things, and your real strong anti-inflammatories that then hurt the liver so much that your free flow of blood and energy, as we call it, or chi, is now stagnant in those hubs, which are your joint systems. So you tend to have, if you have an injury, now you're pooling that liquid, and that liquid calcifies and makes more, arthritis.
Right.
But then there's the lung and the skin and all of that. So where's that coming from? Oh, well, maybe this and this food and this inflammatory choice and that, stress. And then, so you start making those associations so that you can work your way backwards.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So we're kind of there. It's funny because we're literally going down the list of stuff that I wrote for topics.
Just naturally.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
As it should be.
But I wanted to ask you, like, your areas of high focus in health. Like, somebody comes to you, you mentioned some pillars that you have. What are those?
Well, so I think I mentioned the word pillars when I went with the app. Vell Health is fitness, supplements, mind, body, nutrition, and your care providers, right? So that's how I believe holistic health should be, and that's how I created the app to mirror me and my belief system. So that's the only way to be holistic. Otherwise, what you're looking at, if you're saying you're holistic and you're only doing supplements, you're missing fitness. And if you're only doing that, nutrition. And then what about the mind, body, meditation, sleep, walking in nature, grounding, forest bathing, the list goes on and on. And then, of course, if you need supervision. So what about your care providers, your chiropractors, your acupuncturists, your DOs, your MDs, whatever, your physical therapists, your trainers, your sports, trainer, all of them are your care providers. You need your team. So those are the pillars I believe in. And I thank my patients for allowing me to be on their team. Right? It's a choice. You need to understand that you're your best advocate and you're assembling your team.
Yeah, I like how you said that when you were just talking about the app, how you created it so they could be involved in their healthcare. Because I think a lot of people outsource that. And they aren't even participating in it. They're just, tell me what to do. And I still see patients in a conventional model. Granted, it is a little bit more lenient on, it's a smaller patient load, so I get to spend more time. But when I ask them, like, what medications are you on? And they say, well, you have the list. And I really stress, like, you need to know, like, you need to be an active participant in this because you shouldn't rely on
because you're seeing a lot of people. They're just, they have to take care of themselves.
Or when I discuss a management plan, I'm like, okay, here are options. And they say, well, which one do you want me to do? I'm not the one who's going to be doing this. So you need to be an active participant. Like, let's talk about it. And I think that that's missing a lot in conventional.
Accountability.
Right? Yeah.
Self-accountability. But, and we need a system where, okay, we give you the education, we give you the accessibility, we give you the action items, we give you a way to log it, track it, and then we give you a way to share it with your care providers. That's what was missing, and that's what we created. So it's essential. In my opinion, everyone needs this app. And we've worked 5 years to produce it. And through COVID, through challenges, and it was not a cheap endeavor, and we're still working, but we just released a third version, which is like several iterations later. It has a journal, it has Ask Vell AI, it has everything you need is in the palm of your hand to be held accountable and to connect. And we're not a medical app, but our health advisory board is mostly MDs. So, you know what I mean? It's not like we're saying, okay, we're coming out and we're like, these are all specialists, top neurologists, top, general practitioners, top pediatric and adult orthopedic surgeons. I mean, they're all top tier.
This is great.
So,
What did you have in mind when you put that Vell together? What was it? You like something you wanted a bunch of people to be able to communicate on it? Like what was...
At first, I just thought that if we could just do an app that would educate the user, that would be enough. Like I thought, this, like if you have migraines and you want to know what tea to drink and, or what supplement to take, like you should be able to do that in a curated, safe way that wasn't going to bombard you with a lot of stuff that would then take you down the hole that would tell you have cancer or something, like the internet, right? Everything ends up in cancer.
So
on the internet. So we wanted a curated system that would educate. They were like, okay, if we're educating them, the next thing we're going to do, what do I do with this information? So we needed a way that this education would then take them into a actionable list. And then we're like, okay, so then they get this list. Well, then what do they do with that? How do they keep track of doing it? And do we reward them for doing it? So then we created this, AI sort of assisted, takes your symptoms specifically what you're feeling, and we devised the symptoms, weighted it, and then the back end, all that. And then like you report it just as if you were seeing me. And I'm going to say, okay, because I'm not going to say the same thing to every patient, right? I'm not working like, okay, you have this symptom, let me give you this medication. No. What's your symptom? And then I go through all the levels. How's your emotional? How's your physical? How's your family? How's all, how's your sleep? All these things become very relevant for me where it's different and conventional. So that's how the app is. And then it gives you the items of action based upon all those reported symptoms, which create the whole picture.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, so now I know what to do, but what if I don't know where to go for it? So then we started finding experts to do content. So for the exercise, we have yoga instructors, physical therapists, pelvic floor specialists for your women's health. We have all these people. Then for the nutrition, we have chefs making juices and smoothies and dishes. And then in each of those things, we tell you why you're doing it, what each of these items, how they heal, and how to make it. And then you say, okay, well, next thing my patients go, well, where do I get all this stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So then we created geo mapping, and like this is, you type in, or if it's on your phone, you know where to go. It tells you where to go for each of those things, and it weeds out all the bad stuff. It puts the good options. If you need where to shop, where to go for yoga, where to go for Tai Chi, whatever it is. And so if you get past the 3 to 5 minute segments or whatever media we have, you can now go and do a full hour of yoga or half hour, or wherever you're going in the world. You just you type in your address, and it'll give you all the options within each of those pillars. Then journaling has become a big way. They call it the brain dump, right? Stop holding on to all the stress. Stop holding all the mental anguish. Get it down. So we created a end-to-end encrypted journal with it. So the journey is creating what I've recommended over the years, but trying to recreate it from the ground up.
Put it all in one place.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to it, but even like now people are asking, ChatGPT all this stuff, and I have patients that were saying, "Oh, I started seeing my ChatGPT as a psychologist." I'm like,
No, that's a slippery slope.
Come on, yeah, like, and
Really?
he was so excited about it.
I heard people
about it.
decompressing with ChatGPT and be like, "Hey, so and so texted me this. What do you think they meant?" And I'm just like, man, we're really it's gonna get weird. It's
because
gonna get weird.
It definitely has this skewed sort of aspect of wanting to please kind of thing. So it has no real relevance to a real scientific, right? Because it's missing. You could say it's science, but it's not, because it needs all the numbers. It needs all the information. If it doesn't have all the numbers and all the information, it's going to be inaccurate.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Yep.
And even we as human beings, we're big computers, right? We're supercomputers. We're processing multiple things at a time.
Yeah.
Emotionally, physically. I'm looking at you. We can connect on so many levels. ChatGPT is just one-dimensional, right?
Yeah.
It's only getting what you feed, and if you leave out XYZ, you've got all these fragments. So we created a LLM and all these things, which my tech team would say. But the point is, it's got guardrails. Yeah. So it's safe. And it's backed by our medical team. And information is vetted and sourced. And so even within the AI abilities, it's confined. Yeah. And that's what we need. What can I tell you? It's a work in progress, but we've come very far. And we're excited for the future of what we can do with this and what people can do with it.
I think it's great because a lot of people, they just don't know where to start, and they don't know what steps to start to take. Yeah. And so I think that's a great resource.
Parentheses, listeners of this podcast, if you are out there trying to get AI to be your therapist, just stop.
Just stop.
Just don't. Just don't.
It is.
just don't do that.
If you want to get spiritual and religious about it, that is a slippery, dangerous slope.
Don't do that. Listen, we here at Achieve the Lifestyle and the PharmaPhobic podcast, one of our pillars of long-term health is social connection.
Yes.
Social connection is with other human beings.
Yeah.
We're not going to connect with robots and stuff like that. You want to connect with something that's not a human, you're still going to need humans, but you could get a doggo. You can talk to your dog. But yeah. Oh my God, that blew my mind right there. But I have been hearing that. That is wild.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, areas of concern. We kind of talked about children's health a little bit, but when you look out there at the healthscape, what do you think is concerning? Whether it's trending and people are like, "Oh, I'm starting to do this." What 3 things that kind of worry you? We know that children's health is one of them.
Yeah, children's health is huge. It's everything. But so is adult health, right? If we can't take care of ourselves, if we can't apply common sense, if we can't keep asking questions, like you mentioned, a patient will come to me and ask me way more questions than they will ask any of their medical doctors. I mean, and my system is 5,000 years old. Conventional medicine is 200 to 300 years old. But they will ask me as if I could literally do something that's going to end their life right there, where they're on like 30 medications, which is slowly destroying their liver, kidneys, pancreas, heart, lungs.
Yes.
And nothing against the meds. It's just that they're not managed properly. So they'll just keep taking, each doctor prescribing meds multiplies.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times they're not even looking at the list.
And it's often siloed.
It's siloed care. And it's all being mixed up in your body, processed by your liver, your kidneys, and building up toxins. So, but they will sit there and quiz me for an hour. What's this needle? Is it, is it stainless steel? Do you reuse them? Like common sense questions that honestly, I'm always humbled. I never come into work like expecting, like I'm Dr. K. No.
Yeah.
I'm always humbled. I'm always coming like it's the first day of work and you're my first patient, no matter who you are. And I've treated some of the most powerful people in the world, titans of industry, and I've treated teachers and hairdressers. I've loved them all.
Yeah.
As if they were family. But that being said, ask the questions like you would ask me.
Yeah, like
quiz everyone.
Take
just
more
like you would
charge,
quiz
be
me.
more involved. That goes back to being involved in the process. I agree.
And if they're not as humble as I am, ask yourself, why?
I think you said something very important there that because I've had this conversation recently with one of my clients, older person, she's in her 80s, and she's starting to have some weird symptoms. And I know she has an affinity for doctors. She talks about, well, my doctor is this person, and I go here and I go there and I got doctor's appointments, and they kind of, it's almost like she enjoys going to the doctor. It's kind of weird. I found that in older population. But she's having these weird things and she's been going to these specialists and nobody can tell her. I was like, have you ever been to your primary and taken all your medications and showed them what you're on? Because I know if you go to this specialist, they give you this, your primary gives you that. And you need like a moment maybe to deconflict and make sure that you're not taking stuff that is not talking to each other. So, just something out there, guys, just like, listen, if your parents or you yourself are in that situation where you're taking a lot of medications, I think it's a good exercise to go to your doctor or your primary or whoever and be like, hey, this is all the stuff I'm on. Not out of memory. Take your little bottles and show them so that somebody could just run through that and deconflict stuff just in case, especially if you're feeling weird. I don't know. Just reminded me that. I wanted to get that out there.
I would say third big concern is our increasing disregard for the environment and its connectivity to our well-being as humanity.
Explain that.
So we are a connected organism, right? We call it Mother Earth, but there's this sort of idea that there's there. Like we always want to go there. And whatever we do here is going to happen there. So this is a very special place. Our opportunities to engage, with nature is what will preserve this place. And I would say less time on TV, less time on the phone, more time in nature for you and your family. I remember, we try to maintain, and even in the app, we recommend things like forest bathing, which is just walking quietly, no electronics, breathing in the terpenes from trees, which are actually restore your homeostasis. They're balancing. They're reactive in the body. They're, cannabidiols available, which people associate now CBD,
Mm-hmm.
CBD oil, but it's in other things all through nature. Most green plants give it all, terpenes. And so if you have the beach, if you're inland, parks, lakes, connect, fishing, hunting, clay shooting. People say, oh, hunting, kill something. Hunters, fishermen, anglers, all those people do more to protect the planet
Exactly.
than all you people complaining about the hunters and fishermen.
Yeah, and they actually help
Combined.
promote. They actually help promote the like for deer, the integrity of the deer,
Oh,
the
yeah.
herd. Excuse me,
Yep.
to make because they want it to be more plentiful, and so yeah,
They're big
yes.
preservationists too.
Yeah.
Like these guys, a lot of the people that we know that hunt
Mhm.
any wildlife initiative, they are going to support it.
Yeah.
Like in any preserve this refuge,
Right.
this sanctuary, they're all about it. I mean,
And my kids all fish. They all can shoot. I've taken them. I've taught them. They've done the hour and a half or whatever with instruction. We choose a family. So they were never curious.
That's a
They're
good
not going to
point.
sit with a friend and play with it.
Yeah.
And try to get. There's none of that happening. I never have to worry about that because
Yeah.
they know the power of it. They know how to use it. They know the purpose. They see it as a tool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you go out there and you talk about these kids and the guns. Where's the parents?
Yep.
Where were the parents?
Mm-hmm.
Having connectivity, checking on your children, understanding what makes them, and play.
Mm-hmm.
There's one unifying reason that they say in history has connected most serial killers and people out there: lack of play.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you don't play, you don't have joy. If you don't have joy, what are you going to connect your human experience to?
Yep. Yep.
Those are the things that connect us and make us feel human and
Yeah.
whole. So play and love and laugh and it's not all about work. It's not all about school. It's not all about sports. It's about all these things that make us want to live and want to share and want to grow and be and become. So
That's beautiful. Yep.
that forest bathing stuff.
Yeah.
There's a study on it in case somebody's listening and they're like, oh, where's the science on that? Hey, there's a nice study on forest bathing out of
Yeah.
Japan. I mean, that's a big strategy in Japan that they're like,
it's huge. That's
yep, as a forest bathing as a treatment for depression,
Yep.
and the results are pretty good.
Yeah.
So yes, that
So
is
a couple things about what you just said. I think a lot of us tend to always be on, like we go on walks, but the headphones are on or
Right.
in,
Yeah.
listening to music,
Yeah.
podcast, talking to a friend. I'm hugely guilty of that. I've recently started walking without so I can be more present in nature.
or even
hear-
break it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is play. Unfortunately, some people had maybe some situations in childhood where you grew up too fast, right?
Right.
You're never too old to play. Okay. And so finding something like we do jujitsu, sometimes it's, let's get after it. Sometimes it's like, let's play. Okay.
Yeah.
And also finding that social connectiveness, having friends that you feel safe around to do silly things, have some fun. That's hugely beneficial for you. So I think I'm so glad you brought those
Yeah.
things up because that's that play thing. I don't think we've talked about that.
no, we haven't.
And I know it, but I don't think I speak on it. So that's valuable.
And starting your kids
Yeah.
off early. So we have a 6-year-old in jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to roughhouse a little bit, but he never, like I go and I watch him and he dominates, but not in a bad way.
Right.
Like he dominates within the realm of, okay, I'm going to hold this, position. I'm going to do this and I'm going to follow this. And other kids, for whatever reason, if they're not taught at home how to manage mood, manage emotions, what's right, this is a play. You can see the other kids will be upset
Yeah.
when they don't get to do whatever they're trying to do. And
Mhm.
he leaves it there.
Mm-hmm.
Like he goes through the instruction. If he dominates, he'll hold them. And then when it's done, he just, by the wall, I did my job, And because I have the conversations with him.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, son, that was cool, but remember, this is not this. You don't kick it, and you hold it, and remember, it's not an emotional thing. You're learning. This is an exercise. This is more mental than physical. The strength will come but this is a mental exercise and enjoy it. Have fun.
Yeah.
Be creative. You know, like that conversation, that's starting early.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry when he's 20, you know, getting into fights at bars or whatever. Because that's already there.
Yeah.
Because I've already done it. I have, you know, we have a family of 7 kids. So this is youngest. So, you know, I have older ones and they're not, you know, I don't have to worry like I'm going to get that call in the middle of the night. No.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No, that is pretty cool. So areas of hope, things that you see out there that kind of make you think like, oh, you know what? We might be able to do something good here and turn this ship around because, I mean, it does look kind of gloomy out there in the hellscape when you look out.
I mean, no, absolutely. I think there's a lot of hope to be had here. This is hopeful.
Yeah, the conversations being had about stuff.
Yeah, this is hope. You know, I started Maximum Health Road to Wellness. One of the reasons I started that, one of the reasons I started my podcast, the radio show, same reason as you, is you want to share the good things that are out there. Because if you leave it up to the major networks and most of that, it's negativity because people feed off of that struggle. They feed off of that chaos, right? Most people have that. That's easy food, right? It's all food. Yeah. But you want the junk food. You want the Doritos.
Yes.
Right? There's plenty of people who want Doritos more than they want the natural, you know, fruit. And just, you know, why am I going to go get a nice, beautiful, juicy mango? I've got to peel the mango. Then I got to cut the mango. Then I got to eat the mango. No, I get this bag. I just pop it open and just start. So that's, to me, how I look at what's available out there in the news versus what we're doing here. You know, you got to put a little effort. Watch this, subscribe, you know, search for it and listen. Take some time out of your life and really kind of, okay, I can do better. You know, so when I go on these motorcycle rides and I go into Atlanta and ride into the Blue Ridge Mountains or go on the wayward side or the windward side of Hawaii and show the country and not the typical part or England and not do London, I do Esher and I show wellness and how people are experiencing wellness and health in different ways. And I decided to do this all around the world. So the first season is
Max Health Rides?
Yeah, Maximum Health Road to Wellness.
Okay.
We had changed it up because HBO reached out to us.
Oh.
They were like we don't want you using Max. You can try to use it, but we're going to come outside. Like,
Understood.
Okay. So Maximum Health.
Maximum Health
Road to Wellness. You did a little rebrand there.
Yeah.
Rebrand.
Okay.
And but it's still Max Health Rides on social media. At Max Health Rides or YouTube at Max Health Rides. They said you could do that. So, okay. So, you know, I wanted to show what's going on out there. And these people, when we get there, they don't really know who's this dude, you know, these dreads coming on a motorcycle and he's a doctor. What? And then how is fishing, you know? So like the last episode, the first episode of the second season, you know, I'm in Tennessee and I go out to Bones Canoe and Camp on the Buffalo River. And, you know, you show up and it's country. It's in the country and it's beautiful, but it's in the country and we're not looking, you know, and my crew looks kind of like me too, and variations of me. So without getting into specifics, but the point is we're not in the typical look. Yeah. But we're well received, you know, can't say enough about Tennessee on the Fly. And we get in these boats and I'm learning how to fly fish for the first time. And we're talking about, and these guys, you know, they're believers, there's spirituality, there's nature, there's environment, there's what they do, what they believe, and how they want to give back to the world. And this is in Tennessee, you know what I mean? And it's there. And they're like us, and we're like them. And then there's a music instructor and how she's helping people with autism and ADHD through music therapy.
In the mountains of Tennessee.
Yeah. And well, she was in more close. She was close to Nashville, but it's a ride. So I do, you know, and then, you know, there's a tattoo artist and he's traveled the world and he's helping people heal and achieve whatever through tattoos and tell their stories. And he's seeing how different cultures and social standards and spirituality and all that is communicated. And we talk about that. And so that's just one episode. But point is, there's a lot of good, a lot of hope, and a lot of beautiful people and humans doing wonderful things out there doing their best every day to spread love,
Yeah.
you know, and healing and health and wellness. And that's what we're trying to show.
That is a pretty cool concept, like exploring wellness all over. I like that. That's pretty cool.
And the motorcycle is really just because if I were to get in the car and do it, you wouldn't see all the beauty.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and you're like getting the air in your face.
Yeah, and so my film crew is the ride is part of it. So you're seeing the environment, whether it's city or forest. You know, I'm just a part of that. So you know, rather if it was a car, you just got a car.
Yeah.
So the motorcycle I think is key, and it's a different motorcycle every episode, and it adds an element of interest because you know it's a special thing to be able to cruise and be in your environment, and also it gets me acclimated too.
I have to share a quick story with you because you mentioned Tennessee. My first deployment, I was in Iraq, and I'm Puerto Rican. My platoon sergeant, I was a lieutenant, young, 23, 24 years old, and my platoon sergeant was Puerto Rican as well, coincidentally. And we took over this kind of hodgepodge unit that had Tennessee National Guard in it. It had people from another active, so it was all mixed up, but we took over, and he tells me the first day we get there, he's like, yo, these Tennessee boys they're country. I mean, these guys were not from Nashville. And he's like, you think they're gonna be okay with us being in charge? I was like, I don't know, man. You know, like, let's see what happens. Those guys were amazing. Like loyal, hardworking, you know, I'm talking country bumpkin, like the tobacco. They wanted to watch NASCAR. I had to put an antenna on a roof so we could get a signal so they could watch the Daytona. But it was amazing. So you saying you went to Tennessee and it was awesome. I'm like, listen, these boys were from the back.
Even in the Blue Ridge Mountains, I was shooting clays at Nantucket Creek Farms, family owned, that was about a 2-hour ride outside of Atlanta. I mean, and well received. You know, it was like, at first it was like, oh, we only have about 25 minutes for you, but turned into an hour and change. And you got time, we want to show you this. And you know, and it's just, it's all family. There's a family out there of like-minded, like-souled individuals, and it has nothing to do with how you look. You just, you know, you got to have that aura of humility and respect and admiration for whoever it is. And when you approach things, it's going to be felt, and then the magic can happen. Right, that's when the healing happens. So there's a lot to be said about all that.
I love it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I had a closing here. Triple Crown Surfing. I'm an island boy, so I saw that. I was like, oh, Triple Crown Surfing.
So back in the day, you know, there was a lot of things I want to do, whether it was working with the dentistry and getting the newspaper for that, because no one was doing that at the time. I also decided I wanted to pioneer working with surfers, and no acupuncturist had done the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing. So it's where Pipe Masters is held. It's the Kelly Slaters of the world. It's all that goes on there once a year. It's the world, you know, championships, and so that's what it was called at the time. Is Vans Triple Crown of Surfing, but now I don't think Vans.
They might have dropped the Vans, but the event still happens,
Triple Crown. So it's O'Neill World Cup and something else, and then the Pipe Masters. I forget what the other one is. So that's a Triple Crown. So you do. I was there for about a month and a half. Took my family at the time, which was smaller, and I treated all the big guys. And I showed up in the mornings, 5:30, 6 a.m., and treated all the, you know.
That's pretty cool. That's the Triple Crown of Surfing.
So I was the first to do that. And then I was the first of the Roxy Pro, which was the women's longboarding in Biarritz, France. Went there, same thing, worked, showed up every day and treated them. And so,
that's wonderful.
A lot of surf stuff.
Cool. Yeah. And then you also said you had something, you did acupuncture during surgery.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you sent that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I, you know, most recently I was just featured on the record with the WPBF ABC News, and went into surgery. Well, I did pre-op, you know, and interest into surgery and post-op, but I also saw the patient for about a month and a half prior, and she wanted to have a preventative surgery, a hysterectomy, because of her family history of ovarian cancer. She lost her mom, and so I'd helped her mom a little bit, but late stage, and then So she wanted me to be there with her. But I've done other surgeries, a lot of breast cancer related, double mastectomy, reconstruction, colon surgery, other, all sorts of different assisting. And the benefits are obviously, there's no obvious if you don't know, but the benefits are going to be better outcomes, faster healing, less stress, better immune system, better tissue, circulation, blood flow. I do everything from the acupuncture to homeopathics post-op to dietary counseling, supplements, and also just being there for them. I'm the one that a lot of times when they're going through their emotional digestion of the situation, I'm that person that they can come to and vent and go through the process and heal before the actual physical healing. They're healing through So there's a lot to be said of that, because unfortunately that world can be very much they're looking at the paper and not you.
Yeah.
Right.
And surgery is very impactful on a person, and it's often you go through it just kind of alone.
Yeah.
The doctors are just doing their job and you're just being operated on, and there's a huge
I always say,
disconnect.
I always tell patients, I say, look, it may be planned trauma, but it's still trauma.
Yes.
Your body is still experiencing trauma on every level. And so you need to heal on every level.
Yeah.
So receive support on every level. But that's life,
Yeah.
We should always be, preventative. There's a saying, and I don't know if it's still the way it is, but in China, a doctor gets paid when you're well, not when you're sick. Because there is more about the prevention.
Here they want you sick so that they can get paid and paid and paid.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Gray, we really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming down. That pretty insightful conversation. We really enjoyed that. Anything you want to leave the listeners with?
Just if they want to, benefit from anything we've talked about that I'm involved in, vellhealth.com, VELL health.com, maximumhealthradio.com for my radio show podcast website, and maxhealthrides.com for the website for the show. And stay tuned, because like I said, hopefully in October we'll start in PBS, but it's available on YouTube as well, Max Health Rides.
And if people want to potentially work with you, how do they find you? Or do you not take people just like seeking you out? They have to come through.
It's usually internally referred at this point for a few years, for many
Sorry,
reasons.
guys.
That's a good position to be in.
It's been a long time, but I don't turn anyone away in terms of advice, or if they call or email, and I can always point out or recommend people, and I'm not that way, but the hands-on stuff is only one me, so that's why I'm creating all these parts of me that will hopefully live on way past me. So
cool. Well,
great.
Guys, there you have it. Another episode of PharmaPhobic. Jenny, anything you want to say?
Nope.
Well, guys, till the next one, you know what I want you to do. Stay pharma-free. Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram @Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website @AchieveTheLifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.